Live already. Wow, that was fast. Hey, everybody. This is Bradley Benham with Semantic Mastery. This is Hump Day Hangouts for October 11th, 2017. We got Marco and Hernan on with us today. What's up, Hernan?
Hey, guys. Hey, everyone. It's really good to be here. I'm in Florida for a couple more weeks, then heading back to Buenos Aires. Looking forward to be back in Buenos Aires for a little bit, and then we'll see. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up in Semantic Mastery that I'm really excited to put together and whatnot. So yeah, it's good to be here.
Awesome. What's up, Marco? How are you, man?
Deep in the lab again, dude. Deep in the lab. I don't know.
That's a pattern for you. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're always in the lab because I don't get to test nearly as much as I'd like to anymore because I'm running too many damn businesses and it sucks. It's I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed the testing. But that's why we've got a team like we do, so that you can handle that shit. So
yeah. So and at the end of the day, Marco is on the SEO lab or OIS lab, and you're on the business lab. So yeah, that's fun too, And I'm on the SEO lab. That's the Facebook ads lab. So that's fun. That's the whole deal of Semantic Mastery, right? So
yeah, that's why we work well together, because we all play our own roles. You know what I mean? So
yep.
All right. Well, we don't have Adam here today, who generally has everything organized very nicely, and I'm not that guy. So I don't have any announcements for today that I know of. If you guys have anything, go ahead and chime in and say them.
Yeah, real quick, that tomorrow we have our battle plan, our monthly battle plan update overview webinar. So if you have been, if you're new to Semantic Mastery, which we had a lot of new faces after the meetup and after the launch of OIS, reloaded and whatnot. So if you're new to Semantic Mastery and want to see what all of these fuss about the battle plan is about, I'm going to drop a link. Once I'm finding, I'm going to drop a link so that you can join. We're going to have a live webinar, so you can come and ask your questions and see what the battle plan is all about. So she's going to drop the link on the events page shortly. So
yeah, I have a couple of things. Might as well announce it here because most of our guys come here too. RYS Reloaded webinar number 3 is coming up this Monday, and this one will be on the different ways that you could use a G site, Drive Stack plus G site, because people are always asking, well, do you only rank G sites? No, of course not. We can pass the power. We can do all kinds of nasty things with G sites, and so we'll be delving into that a little bit on Monday. This will be, as I said, the third one, and I think after this one, the price of RYS Reloaded will go up, because the value that we're giving in the webinars it matches what's in the training. I mean, I know it goes hand in hand, but we're just giving away some not giving away. People are paying for it, but we're giving them so much value and just teaching people to think outside the box. That's something to consider if anyone is thinking or on the fence whether they should buy RYS Reloaded. The price will go up, and you guys know that when I say the price will go up, I'll push as hard as possible for the price to be as high as possible. Try to convince my partners. And then the last thing is Twitter. We're in the lab for Twitter social signals, so that people can use Twitter not just for SEO, but learn to use it as a social signal generator. Social signals are just so important in the way that ranking works right now. And so we're revamping the training, just redoing it from top to bottom, so that we don't concentrate on SEO, but rather how to use it for social signals, so that you get all of those signals going over to Google, and that people are interacting with whatever it is that you're tweeting. So that, I think, is going to be really awesome, especially since it's spearheaded by Dr. Gary Kerwin and Rob Beal. They're master spammers. All I'll do is I just play band leader, and they do the rest. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a fabulous product when it comes out.
Sweet. Anything else?
I think that's enough.
I think we're good to go.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's get into some questions, guys. We got a bunch already, so
that's good.
Okay. Everybody should be good to go. Did somebody check the event page to make sure we're actually streaming? Let me do that real fast. Adam usually does that. Looks like we are. All right.
We can see, and Roman just joined, but we can see your screen real quick.
Who invited Roman?
I don't know who did. Maybe Marco give him the link.
Yeah, I gave him the link, and felt sorry for the guy.
Oh.
Damn.
What's up, Roman?
How you guys doing?
What's up, buddy? If I'd have known it was going to be one of those kind of parties, I'd have stuck. No, I'm not going to say it. If anybody knows Beastie Boys will remember that reference. Mashed potatoes. All right. Do we have any SerpSpace announcements since you're here, Roman?
We're adding in a new press release.
Yes, we are.
Yep, that's the big news for the time being until we got a little bit more coming along.
And when is that going to be ready?
I'm hoping it should be ready for next week.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to do a separate promo for that once it does. We got a new service, another press release service coming in the SerpSpace, guys. It's really, really great service, and the guy behind it is he's a really good dude too. So we're excited to bring it. It's going to allow maps embeds, and which is crazy. Maps, any sort of iframe embed. It looks like structured data can be added. Video embeds. So be looking for that next week. We'll make an announcement once it's ready.
Yep, and the size of the distribution.
That's 450 sites.
Yep, it's massive.
Very, very powerful. It's awesome. So we're excited to bring that in. And chances are we're going to bring well, we talked about this briefly yesterday, but maybe a third press release distribution network into SerpSpace so that there's variety, guys, because that's exactly how I'm doing it with all the stuff that I'm working with right now with press releases. I'm using multiple distribution services, our own, of course, and in several others. And that's because adding variety and diversity to your inbound link profile is beneficial at any point, right? At any time. So this is just a great way to add diversity, and it works really, really well. So more on that when we have it ready. All right, so Ben's up first. He says, hey, guys, if I have a video that has landed on page 2, is Video Powerhouse what it takes to get to page 1? Are they the embeds spread out over time? How long is it before they take effect? Push to page 1 on the video that they are aimed at. Okay, Ben, I can't answer whether or not that's all that is going to need. It's likely that it will. I mean, yes, it will help. Sometimes you need more than just the embeds, though. So I can't give you a definitive answer. Chances are it's going to help. But what I would suggest doing is you should be able to set up a free account in SerpSpace if you don't already have it, and go look at how when you go to Video Powerhouse, you can set up, like start a campaign, and it will give you the option to drip the embeds out. So it's up to you as to how often, how aggressive you want to be with it. I can tell you what my strategy is, the exact same process that I use every time. And so whenever I upload or go to rank a video, after the video's been indexed, I make sure it's indexed, right? And then what I'll do is I'll go to SerpSpace and I'll select 50 embeds. I always start off with just 50, guys. There's no reason to go overboard. I know a lot of people like to go in and, order 300 embeds or whatever. Do whatever you want. I'm just telling you, I always start off with 50 and then wait to see about 2 weeks what the results have been. 2 or 3 weeks, depends on the drip rate. So, for example, I'll do 50 embeds. I'll always choose secondary embeds, and I select the proper categories. And this will make sense if you go into the SerpSpace dashboard for Video Powerhouse. You'll know what I mean. But you can select secondary embeds as well, and then make sure you select the correct categories. And then I like to drip mine out for either 7 or 14 days. Okay, I select 7 or 14. Really, it's just at random for me. There's really no rhyme or reason. I just always like to drip them out. And then, so I usually wait about 3 weeks, so about 21 days for me to go back and check on the video, or I usually add videos like that, the URLs to ProRankTracker.com so that I can track the rankings. It does a really good job of tracking YouTube videos. So I'll just go in about 3 weeks later. I set a calendar event from the date that I create the embed campaign in SerpSpace. Set a calendar event to remind me to go back and check on it in a couple of weeks, and 3 weeks, and then I'll go look at it then, and I'll see where it's at. If it needs more from there, then I'll order another 50. Sometimes I'll order link building to the actual video itself, or to some of the embedded properties that I have through my own network, which would be my own syndication networks, whatever it takes. Okay.
Can I add
jump on?
that people should set realistic expectations? Like, did he mention whether we need to know whether the niche is highly competitive, whether there's hardly any competition? If there's hardly any competition, one video and one embed run should be good enough. It's already on page 2. If it's highly competitive, then it's likely that you're going to need more, additional embeds, and then more videos to push up that first video and that playlist as a silo, so that when you power it up and you link build to it, it all gets pushed up, and that video that you want to hit that first page will hit the first page.
Yep.
So, I mean, set your expectations first on you have to know the niche that you're working in and how to go after it. One video in a highly competitive niche is not likely to get you anywhere unless you just hit that that random factor where Google just loves your video and they just push it up just because, and it happens.
Yeah,
so keep that in mind.
And I agree with Marco. He took the words right out of my mouth as far as using the playlist. So essentially set up a silo using a playlist with the video that you have on page 2 right now that you're trying to rank as the top of the silo. And then you can create variations or target variations of the keyword, longer tail versions, synonyms or co-occurring type keywords, LSI versions of the keyword, that kind of stuff. And you can create, multiple versions of that same video targeting those various keywords, and then linking those up to the top site, top video in the silo, which is the one that you're trying to rank. And there's multiple ways to do the interlinking for that, right? You can do the mono silo method. There's if you don't have YouTube Silo Academy, you should. It's a $7 product. I would go back and review that. There's some diagrams in there for how the linking should be done within the silo. There's some 3 different types of linking strategies, and you can select which one. If it's really competitive, I would suggest going with the mono silo, but there's a couple others if they're not as competitive. But that's very, very effective, because then you also have the option of sending the supporting videos within the silo through the embed network, which is very powerful. And then lastly, the other part of that I would recommend is, if you get to a point where the SEO, you've SEO'd the hell out of it, you've done several embeds, whatever it takes, and you're still having a little bit of trouble with getting it ranked. If it's a local video, well, you can do it either local or national, global. It doesn't really matter. But for local, I've been doing, and I've mentioned this many times before, but I like to set up YouTube ads where I get some localized IP clicks to the video. And I just set something like, I'll start off with $1 a day budget just until the ads start running, and they run for a couple days, and then I'll drop the budget down to like 50 cents per day. So you only end up spending $15 per month on having localized IP, like real genuine traffic. You're buying it. You're buying traffic from Google, from YouTube. Does that make sense? And so, YouTube tells you it's against their terms of service to buy YouTube views unless you buy them through the AdWords platform. And then it's perfectly okay. And so I've been using that as kind of like my secret weapon outside of, like, after I've exhausted all my SEO methods, if it still hasn't ranked where I want it to be ranked, then I go in and set up a YouTube ad, and it just takes a few minutes to do, and you can let it run for, a month. You end up spending about $15 or $20, especially if you spend $1 a day for the first like 4 or 5 days, and then $15 for the rest of the month. So it ends up being like $20 that you spend, but typically within 2 or 3 weeks, that thing's going to rank. And then you can actually terminate or pause the ad altogether. Or if you're okay, if it's making you money, I would suggest leaving the ad running at like 50 cents per day because it's only $15. Like, for example, I've got a lot of, I do video SEO, wholesale SEO work for a video production company. And now whenever they send me another what they call a Google Boost video. So that's somebody that subscribed to that program, which means they want their video boosted in Google. I do the SEO thing first, and then I just go up and set up an ad right away for 50 cents a day. And because to me, I'm making $100 per video per month anyways. And so spending $15 is kind of like a guaranteed way to keep it ranked is a small price for me to pay. Okay.
You know, Bradley, it's funny that you mentioned that because YouTube will tell you it's against their terms of service to buy YouTube views unless you do it through the platform. Facebook will tell you buying likes is against their terms of service unless you do it through their platform.
Right.
And all they're doing, like all of these, you know, you can buy YouTube views, you can buy, I don't know, whatever, you can buy Facebook likes, whatever. All of what these guys are doing pretty much is going, you know, taking your money and then advertising your stuff on Facebook or YouTube, but for specific countries. Like, for example, you can get like less than a penny like less than a penny per like on countries like, I don't know, third world countries, right? Middle East or Africa countries. And but the problem with that is that it's, you know, not worth your time or your money, your traffic. So if you spend like $20 on real visitors targeted by on Facebook or on AdWords, like targeting, you know, people on the US or on Canada, whatever, like buying countries, you can get a lot more mileage out of your buck, because at the end of the day, you might end up with better rankings, but you might also end up getting a buyer, right? Yeah. So which does not happen at all when you're buying like these cheap likes and whatnot. So it's funny that you mentioned that, and I thought it was hilarious that they're both playing the same game, right? Yeah. And all of these third-party vendors, they're doing just that, but with low-quality traffic. So.
Yep. And I would recommend for targeting options, if you're going to do the AdWords route, just go with topical targeting. And I end up using whatever video it is that I'm going to rank as just a in-stream ad, right? Those are the pre-roll video ads. So I used to also set up what they call video discovery ads. Those are the search ads. Those are the ones that show up at the top of the search results in YouTube. And so that would be like keyword traffic. But a lot of the, like I found for the local type stuff, it doesn't work as well. It's just better just to use a pre-roll ad, in my opinion, and through my own testing for local stuff. And then all you do is target for your targeting. You set your geographic targeting. So you can set by zip code, by city or state, or county or whatever, or you can even just do like a radius targeting, and that works well also. And then I just select the topic. So I go to the topic for targeting, because there's interest targeting, right? Or which they call like affinity targeting, which is like there's affinity audiences, and then there's in market or ROI targeting, and that's for people like if you can find your specific niche or category in the ROI, the in market category, then select that, because that's very likely that those people may actually end up purchasing, or you know, becoming a lead or doing whatever conversion action it is that you're looking for them to do. If they're in market. But those are, it's rather limited, the number of categories in the in-market targeting. So I would recommend going to the topical targeting, and then you can just select your topic that's most closely related. And that works out well, because then what happens is with your geographic targeting as well as your topical targeting, your ad is only going to show in front of other people's videos. It doesn't matter which video it shows in front of. So in other words, somebody could be watching a stupid funny cat video, but they were recently searching for, let's say it was for roof repair, right? Let's say that you had a roof repair client, and this is the video that you're trying to rank. And I'm just assuming it's local. It might not be, but I'm just saying this is what I do. If it's a roof repair company and we're trying to promote their video, somebody might be watching a stupid cat video or funny cat video or whatever. I think all cats are stupid. Hope I didn't just piss off half our audience, but anyways, if somebody could be watching a funny cat video and like, but if they've been searching for roofing stuff, like how to fix a roof leak and like that kind of stuff in the past week or so, then your video could show in front of whatever the other video is, and they have to be within the IP, or excuse me, the geographic radius or area that you set in your targeting options. So it ends up being a very relevant click, because they click through, or they get a view and or a click, because it's coming from somebody that's from a local IP, right? So that's a great signal for ranking a video, as well as somebody that has shown an interest in that particular topic based upon their search history. And so it ends up being a really relevant click, if that makes sense. Okay, it works really well. And it's a rather inexpensive way to kind of boost any SEO work that you're doing. All right, Taylor's up. Says, hello, I'm able to get on page 1 with video, but not seeing views. Maybe the keywords are not as high search as I had thought. Yeah, that's possible, Taylor. you know, that, I mean, that's certainly possible. Ranking videos on page 1 does not guarantee that there's traffic for those keywords. You know, that unfortunately that's the case. I don't know what else to tell you other than to maybe test some other variations of the keyword and see if you can find some others that may produce better results. Okay.
Go to Power Suggest Pro.
Yeah, look at the suggest terms. That's a good idea. Yep. Guys, go to Google Trend. I mean, the keyword research process has been the same for me for years. It hasn't changed at all. I don't care how many keyword tools come out. None of them matter to me because I just go to Google Trends. Then I go to Power Suggest Pro. And now Google related searches as well. I've been scraping those. That's kind of a shitty manual process at the moment. There's a couple of tools out there that will do that. We may actually have one built in the SerpSpace here in the coming months as well. So, but those are all the great terms for SEO stuff, guys. I mean, you know, the search volume, I'm telling you guys that the AdWords keyword planner is for AdWords. It's not an SEO thing. So even the numbers and the metrics that they show you, first of all, we all know that those numbers are not really valid. Google withholds a ton of data from us. But second of all, those are SEO, or excuse me, PPC numbers, not SEO numbers. So there's a big difference. And that's why Power Suggest Pro is one of the best tools, in my opinion, ever, because it pulls back the scrape. Now, I've changed my targeting, like how I set up, and I'll just open it up real quick. Well,
while you're opening up, we only use AdWords and RYS Reloaded for relevance, because Google considers them relevant in the niche, but we're not actually targeting to rank for those, since people are paying big money a lot of times to rank for those, but Google considers them relevant, so we add them in RYS Reloaded.
Yeah, like in the info, the metadata and stuff like that.
Yeah, all of the stuff where we add, well, air quotes, relevance.
Right. So like for guys, if you notice, you'll see like I got my settings on this one for Google. I do suffix none and recursive yes. It depends on what kind of what I'm trying to do. Like for what Marco's mentioning, I would go ahead and have recursive, or excuse me, suffix added, because that's going to return a shit ton more keywords, like a lot more. But a lot of the times now when I'm just doing like an SEO campaign for like a landing page or, you know, videos and stuff like that, the problem with setting the suffix and recursive both is you end up with such a vast amount of long tail keywords that are really non-relevant, and it takes a long time to go through and clean the list down to only the relevant keywords. And so I've actually stopped using the suffix version of it now, and I just go with recursive now with basically the seed term that I'm punching in, because it returns a lot less results and they're a lot more valid. Because if you think about it, when you start to do a Google search and somebody like on a seed term, which would be kind of, it depends on the query, but a lot of the times it's going to be a broader type query, then people oftentimes aren't going to be going for the real long tail versions of stuff. I'm not saying there's not traffic there, but I'm saying I always like, I used to scrape all the keywords that I could, and I would end up with, you know, sometimes 1,500 keywords. And then I would have to go through and manually clean out all the non-relevant keywords. And that's a long process. And I found that unless you're doing like setting up for a content marketing campaign for like a long-term campaign, in which case it makes sense to do that level of keyword research. But for a lot of times when I'm just getting started in a niche, then I'll just go in and just set it now for suffix no, recursive yes, and I'll play around with a couple drills. In other words, I'll drill down on a few different variations of the seed term, and that makes it so much easier because I have a lot less to clean out, right? A lot less to filter, and then I end up with a really good, strong list of keywords. Remember, the shorter the query, the more traffic. And so even with the suggested keywords, you're going to get some longer tail stuff. But when you have recursive turned off, or excuse me, the suffix turned off, you're going to only get really the top keywords from Google Suggest that have the majority of the traffic. Those really long tail versions, they do produce traffic, there's no doubt. But it's a small volume of traffic for the really long tail versions. So I just go after the broader type suggest terms to start with, and then once I start to gain traction in a particular with a particular campaign, then if I need to start boosting keywords, like certain keywords, then I'll go start drilling down on those with the suffix turned on, so I can get some longer tail versions, which will end up becoming either supporting articles or supporting videos or whatever within a silo to try to boost that top level keyword. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Great question. Next, Jonathan says, how to use jump links and footer or sidebar for increase the on-page SEO. I would tell you if I knew, but I haven't figured it out yet. I know both Roman and Marco know that stuff really well. I haven't had time to play with it, though. Do you guys want to comment on that at all?
No, it's not something that I will share openly or free.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Same.
There you go. That's mastermind and RYS level stuff, guys. Unfortunately, Jonathan. Honestly, I can't give you an answer because I haven't played with them yet. I know they're super powerful. I've seen what Roman's done with them, and I've seen some stuff that Marco's done and showed me with them, but I haven't played with them myself, so I can't give you a response either. Adrian says, hey guys, there's a lot of focus on ranking Google sites. Do you use these to link to a money site and power it, or is there a value in ranking the Google site in its own right? The URL isn't pretty for a client site. That's why I asked. Thanks, guys. Okay, you can do it for both, Adrian. Look, I don't care what the URL looks like, to be honest with you. If a client is complaining about what the URL looks like, then they don't get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my point is, a client should be interested in the leads that the website generates for them. They shouldn't give a shit what the URL looks like as far as if it's producing leads. Now, I'm not saying for their money site. If they have a money site with a branded domain, absolutely, that's their site. That's what they want, a branded domain. That makes absolute perfect sense. But if you're trying to rank a Google site for them, which is a great way to generate leads because they're much easier to rank than a typical money site would be, then who cares what the URL looks like? And if they're really concerned about it, just set up a redirect from their money site with like a, slash leads or slash, I don't know, G site or something like that. So domain.com / whatever, and set up a redirect to their Google site, and so that you can display it to them as like a pretty URL, if that makes sense. But I would, and you can always map a custom domain over to the Google site too, by the way. Okay, and that's something you just do a Google search and say, domain mapping for G sites or Google sites, and you can find a tutorial on how to do that. So I wouldn't worry about the URL. As far as the actual Google site itself, the new Google sites, although they don't have as many features as or at least as far as I know, they don't have as many features as the old sites do. They can be made to look really, really nice. So there's no reason not to be able to use those. But let me finish up my statement, and I'll get the input from the other guys as well. So we do both. We try to rank a Google site as well as also use Google sites as a small PBN, private blog network, or public link network, whatever you want to call it, right? We use them to power up either money sites or the primary Google site or whatever we want, because they're so powerful. And I know somebody else has got another question, I think, on this page about using Google sites as well. And I can tell you that what I like to do is when we start a project, or if I'm doing client work or a new lead gen site or whatever, I take get a drive stack built through SerpSpace, right? And that comes with the Google site. Well, if you purchase that option, it comes with a Google site that's done really well. And that's what I use as my primary Google site that I try to rank, as well as, and obviously all those properties linked to the client's money site. But I use that primary Google site as part of the drive stack, and then we'll create additional blogs like Google sites, bloggers, WordPresses, Tumblrs, things like that we'll use to actually create this link network that boosts the main Google site, the one that's part of the drive stack, if that makes sense. Because then you can hammer the shit out of all of those other blog properties that you're using just to power up the Google site, the primary Google site from the drive stack. That's how we do it. It works really well because the Google site typically ends up ranking, and even if it doesn't, it provides a massive amount of juice to the money site itself. But usually within just a matter of a few weeks, you just got to be patient. For some reason, it takes a while, but the Google sites end up typically ranking, especially if you've powered them up with additional other Google sites. Now, what do you guys think?
I think that's on point.
Very good. No elaboration needed?
None whatsoever. I don't see why.
Alrighty.
I mean, that was perfect.
Okay, so there you go. Mohammed's up. He says, hey guys, I've been thinking about going into renting out YouTube videos that I've ranked to local businesses. Is this still a good strategy these days? I know a few weeks ago you mentioned the lead gen sites aren't as easy to make as they used to be. Does the same apply for videos? I was thinking of using offline PLR videos that Local Kingpin talks about. Okay, so for your first question, yeah, videos is still a good strategy. It's because, all right, the statement I made about becoming more difficult to rank lead gen sites is a valid statement. That's true, because it's getting harder to create a pseudo brand, and I'm using air quotes, right? It's getting harder to create a fake brand and a fake Google My Business listing. And I say fake, it's valid, but it's not a true business, right? It's just being used as a lead gen property. That doesn't apply to videos, guys, because you don't need a Google My Business property to rank a video, right? So my point is, it's still a very valid strategy. Now, I don't do video SEO exclusively. I know some people do, but I always use it as a foot in the door. That's what I use video SEO for, because I can get results relatively easy and rather quickly, right? And so I will set up campaigns with any one of a number of tools. I typically use Peter Drew's tools like LiveRank Sniper or Hangout Millionaire or something like that to test a bunch of keywords. Like I'll test 25, 30 keywords all at once. And out of those, typically, 5 to 10 of them will end up ranking within the first page or two, so that I know that I have a good shot at ranking those with like an actual, money YouTube channel with syndication networks and all that other stuff that we usually do. And so once I've identified those keywords that I can rank for with videos, then I go back through and set up a real campaign that will target those keywords that I identified will rank easily or somewhat easily. And then I'll approach a client or a prospect with the results and say, this is what I've been able to achieve. Are you interested in either renting these out or whatever? And usually once I get somebody on board from the video results that I've been able to achieve, that's when I go into the whole upsell process, which is, telling them about how I can, optimize their website. I can get them, work on their Google Maps listings. We can do PPC campaigns. We can do anything else that's, set up content marketing, a syndication network for them, so that it's a branding network for them, all that other kind of stuff. So you can absolutely still rank videos. I would recommend that you would, do that method. If you focus on just trying to like rank one video at a time, guys, it's going to be very difficult to gain traction and to be able to scale, because I see too many people getting into the video SEO business, and they try to they put all their eggs in one video at a time. So they put all their effort into trying to rank like one video for one keyword type of thing. It's so much better. It's so much more efficient to just spend a few bucks and get one of those tools. Again, Peter Drew's tools like LiveRank Sniper are great for testing this kind of stuff. There's some other ones too. Bill Cousins got one called Rocket Video Ranker. That's also a good tool. And you can use those to quickly identify your low-hanging fruit, your best opportunities, and then build campaigns around those, because now you already know that you're going to be successful with those campaigns, and it gives you a much bigger portfolio that you can showcase to a potential client or prospect, right? And say, look at what I've been able to achieve. Imagine what I can do if you hired me to do all your SEO work, that kind of stuff. I'm serious. I mean, it's really that simple. Any comments on that before I move to the second one?
Yeah, I think that's a really clever strategy, because clients are usually thinking, or they're jaded, or they have been burned when seeing no results, or they think that SEO takes a lot of time, and which it does, right? When you're trying to do SEO for a client, it can take some time. So the way you present yourself with some quick wins, that instantly separates you from the rest of the people that are out there offering the same exact thing that you are. Mm-hmm. So if it separates you, it means that you're not a commodity anymore, because you can bring fast, quick results, quick gains, right? That's the whole ROIS Academy, I would say ROIS Academy leitmotif too, right? Rank as you like this was 2005, and that's still very true. But when you're doing video SEO, you can bring the client some quick gains, which in turn will make the guy stay longer, because again, they don't need to wait for 3 months, whatever, a year to get results. Right. Which is hard for a business owner to be paying for somebody or for something for a year without getting results, right? If you are trying to get leads for your SEO agency and you're paying somebody for 6 months and he's not getting you any leads at all or any new clients, you will start thinking, what the hell's going on? So why, we try to push that to our clients. So the point is that with some quick gains, with some PPC, RYS, reloaded kind of stuff, or video SEO, you can give them some quick gains, which instantly positions yourself differently than the rest of competition. And then you can take it easy in terms of, okay, I can take my time in order to rank these guys because I'm already giving them something to to feed off of, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Performance-based marketing.
Yep, that's true. And like I mentioned earlier, like the video SEO stuff that I do for the production company, that's whenever they send me a new work order, it's always a prospective work order. In other words, they talk to a client, the client says, yes, I'm interested. The client gives the production company a list of keywords that they think that they want to rank for. He sends me the request. And what I do is go do some very brief keyword research. And I pull back, a handful of keywords, like between 10 to 15 typically, that are variations of what the client said that they would desire to rank for. And then I go set up, I just use LiveRank Sniper and to set up a quick campaign to test all the keywords that I pulled back. And then out of those, I identify, typically 2, 3, 4 videos out of about 15 that or keywords that end up ranking on page 1 or page 2 on just a test channel. In other words, it's a channel that doesn't have a syndication network or anything else. So it's a non-authoritative channel. But then I've been able to identify, a handful of keywords that I can rank for that video. Imagine what I can rank for once I actually push it through one of my valid channels with multiple syndication networks, right? So then I always respond back after doing a quick test to the production company. I say, okay, this is what I can rank for, or these are the ones that we have the best chance for. And I typically end up doing a 2 or 3 videos for one deal. In other words, they're willing to pay I get paid, that the video production company charges, it's crazy, but they charge $275 a month for the ranking, and they pay me $100 a month. So they're getting almost 200% higher than what I'm charging. But whatever, they're out there handling the clients and all that kind of stuff. But usually what I wind up doing, because I've identified that I've got 2 or 3 or whatever videos that can rank with relatively little or no work very quickly, then I would just, if it's not the primary keyword or one of the keywords, the primary keywords that the client actually listed that they wanted to rank for, then I'll say, okay, look, I'll make you a deal. I'll maintain these 3 videos for you, or these 3 keywords for you for the same price of $100. To the production company, it's $100, but to the client, it's $275 a month. And I've only been turned down for those kind of offers about maybe 1 or 2 out of every 10 times we make that offer. Because although it might not be the keyword that they originally wanted to, they see the value in multiple other keywords being ranked. And so it's like a 2 or 3 for one deal. And so a lot of the times they'll take it. And it's easy for me because I've been able to rank those with just a test channel with no syndication network. So once I actually push it through a real network, it ends up ranking, and I don't really have to do anything to maintain it. If that makes sense. So it's easy for me.
Question on his question. Is he renting out the YouTube videos themselves as opposed to the leads?
I have no idea.
Okay, because I was gonna say then if he's doing he should do the leads themselves, like sell the phone calls.
You can. That requires obviously have a bit more infrastructure in place, like tracking and all that kind of stuff. If you're just getting started, Mohammed, I would recommend going with the rank and rent method just until you get set up and get some revenue coming in, and then you can start setting up a more advanced type of structure, which would be like having some redirect phone numbers, virtual phone numbers, as well as redirect URLs that you can put in a video description and all that kind of stuff. You could even, if you start to scale, you can even set up your own call center and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
All right. Number 2 is, and we got to keep rolling. That went way longer than I expected. When I start, do I make a new channel for each video? No, that's way too much work, Mohammed. Don't do that. Either just create one channel. Like I would recommend, guys, I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. I recommend you create your agency around one of 2 methods, either niche specific, which is what I prefer, because then you already know what works in that industry, and you can duplicate it from city to city to city. And it's so much faster to scale that way. And you can deal with one type of client over and over and over again. You speak their language, you know their vocabulary, you know their pain points, their hot buttons, you know what type of clients or customers they're looking for, all that kind of stuff. So I recommend that you would build a YouTube channel and several, a syndication network, multiple syndication networks that are niche specific, right? And you could have variations. For example, you could have like a and I always talk about contractors, guys, because that's what I primarily do. But you could have like a, home improvement services channel, and then you could actually target roofers and plumbers and all that kind of stuff. I still recommend that you niche down to one specific industry and stick with that, because you can scale so much quicker that way. However, the second type of agency model would be a city specific or location specific agency, where the common denominator would be that everything that you promote through that channel is tied to that one city, is located in that one city. So, so there's theming to that channel as well, and that's the location theming, the geographic relevance of everything. And so then you could actually separate by playlists on that channel as well. So I recommend that you stick with either, again, I prefer the industry agency better over the location agency, but you can decide which one works better for you. But do not set up a different channel for each. That's way too much work. Okay. Number 3, I'm worried that if I rank and rent a video, I won't get calls. This is a rational worry. Mohammed, what ifs will kill you. What ifs will prevent you from ever doing anything. And I'm not picking on you, Mohammed. This is for everybody. Stop what ifing, guys. Just go out and rank the damn thing and see. Will it generate calls? Like, go get a virtual phone number, put it on there. Even if you don't have a service provider yet, put a virtual phone number on, a Google Voice number with voicemail, whatever, anything that can help you to track calls, and just go rank it and see. If it starts getting calls, you got a winner. If it doesn't, then choose other keywords. If you guys, I'm telling you, sometimes you just gotta. I'm not trying to condescend anybody here, guys. I'm saying we get the what ifs questions all the time, and you can what if yourself right out of ever taking any action. Okay. Yes, have I had this happen? Of course. But the only way to know if you're going to get calls or not is to just get the property ranked and monitor it. Okay. What do I do with calls that I get before running it? Well, that's up to you. Personally, I just let the calls go. Like for when I'm setting up like a test site, I'll have stuff just go to a voicemail. And most of the time people won't even leave a message, but it will show the calls coming in, so I can quantify the number of calls coming in. Sometimes people will leave a message. I just let them go until I find a service provider. I know other people will set them up as a redirect, to just some random, service provider or whatever. Other people will immediately grab the lead that came through and contact people and try to sell them on that. I just usually, when I'm setting up a new asset, I will just allow the calls to just come in and just go into oblivion, really, until I have shown 5 calls in a week or something like that, and then I have data to be able to show when I'm prospecting for a service provider. But that's just me, because I don't like going through the trouble of trying to monetize every lead when that first set up an asset. I just want to show the actual results that the asset produces. Once I have proof, then I go contact or start prospecting for service providers. All right. Jonathan, for a website in French and English, do you separate both language by subdomain or subdirectory? Thanks. You can do either, Jonathan. I think the norm is by subdirectory, but I'm not 100% sure. What, you guys got any input on that?
I don't really...
Sorry, I was muted. I was talking to the muted mic. I would do subdomains.
Yeah.
I would 100% do subdomains when it comes, when I try to rank several, for example, I was doing a couple of months back, I was doing this finance website that was in Scandinavian languages. So it was, I think it was Danish, Sweden, and Norwegian. So we had a subdomain per each of those, right? And the version of that language will go into that subdomain. Yeah. Now, I prefer to do that because I've tested a lot of different translation plugins that will do the subfolder for you. And they're a pain in the ass. They never turn up right. So I would literally go out, clone the content, translate it, and then have that as a standalone version of the website. I also made a website in Argentina and in Spanish and English for a client, and it was s.domain.com and en.domain.com. Yeah. And it worked it worked better because you still leveraging the subdomains, and also each of those websites needs to be treated as a separate entity. Well, not as a separate entity, but as a separate SEO campaign, if that makes sense, right? Yeah. Not because you're ranking for blue widgets, you will be ranking for whatever the keyword is in French, right? So you need to have that in mind, because a lot of people say, okay, so if I do SEO in English and I'm ranking well, and I launch the website in Spanish, will I rank well too? Maybe you will leverage a little bit that authority. I'm not saying you won't, but it will be a completely brand, because the keywords are different, the grammar is different, you know. So you need to have that in mind. But I usually go by subdomains.
Yeah, you know, and now that you said that, you're right. I'm used to seeing subdomains for that, because it, like you said, if site's in English and it's got a subdomain, or excuse me, and a Spanish version, a lot of times it'll be es.domain.com. Right. So you're right. It is usually typically subdomains.
Yeah. So that's what I do. Some people, I know some people will do domain.com/en, domain.com/es, right? But I prefer doing subdomains, because again, the response of the algorithm is different for different languages, right? So you can be a little bit more aggressive on Spanish, and you cannot be that aggressive in English. So that would, you know, that's why I do subdomains mostly, for the most part.
Yeah. Okay, Doss says, hey guys, I've tried to watch the Google Sites Generator webinar several times now, and I just can't force myself to sit through it, even on 2x speed. Can you give us the 2-minute version of exactly what it does? Yeah, Doss, it creates Google Sites really quickly and easily. I mean, it's a very simple interface. And, you know, we've had this question come up the last few Hump Day Hangouts about the Google Sites, and people say, oh, I bought the Google Sites Generator, and I haven't been able to rank any Google Sites. It doesn't work. Well, you missed the point then, because that's not what, I mean, maybe Peter Drew did that with some of the SEO terms that he was talking about. We're targeting like the really small suburbs and stuff like that. And that's great. If you can get results from that, you can absolutely target like suburbs plus, you know, keyword plus suburb, that kind of stuff, and actually rank those sites. But the method that I've used it for specifically is to build links to other properties, because they're Google site links, which are powerful links, and especially if you're using it to power up another Google site. And so, as just mentioned earlier in this very webinar, Hump Day Hangout, what I like to do is use the drive stacks, the Google site that I get with the drive stack, and then I use the Google Site Generator to build a link network to power up that Google site from the drive stack. That's the exact strategy that I've been using for it, and it works really well, because then now you can target all types of long tail keywords with the Google Site Generator, have either several, you know, separate Google sites built for each one of the long tail keywords, or you could have up to 8 pages. So I think it's a total of 8 pages if you're doing the page route of a Google site. And so you can target all the variations and long tail versions of the keywords, and have different sites set up for all that, and then have them all linked. So it's essentially like you're creating a Google site silo with different Google site domains, if that makes sense. So they're all different. They're just basically powering up or supporting Google sites to power up the primary Google site. So you could just select one. You could actually use the Google Site Generator to start building this structure out, right? And then actually just select your primary keyword out of one of the sites, and then go in, and what I would recommend is manually go in and update that one site so that it's built out, it's fleshed out better. It's got, you can embed drive files or do whatever else that you want, embed maps, all that other kind of stuff. And then you could use all the other ones that were generated through the Google Site Generator to power up that one site. That's the way that I do it. I know that other people are, you know, maybe using it to actually rank all those separate Google sites, but you know, that's not the strategy that I use it for. I'm just sharing with you exactly how I use it. Okay. Because that question's come up the last few weeks again. People say, oh, it doesn't work. Well, you didn't pay attention then. I'm not talking to you, Doss. I'm talking about the people that complain that the tools don't work because they don't pay attention to how we proposed, you know, we shared that we use them, if that makes sense. So, okay, Ben says, hey guys, I have a prospective client who has told me the thing he most wants is to own the top spot in the Maps pack for his industry plus location keywords. The location is moderately competitive, not a major city, but a population of 85,000. Which of the services on SerpSpace can I use to make that happen? To set expectations for him, how long can I say it will take roughly? Also, I assume getting the client to set up a process for getting a satisfied customers post reviews would be part of making it happen. Is there anything else the client needs to contribute? All right, well, there's any number of strategies that you could use, Ben, from inside SerpSpace. I'll tell you just the strategy that I always use, which is pretty much always the same. And that's obviously a syndication network first, because that helps to validate the entity. and kind of claim their footprint, which is important for branding, as well as for, again, validating the entity and starting to build authority. So I always start with the syndication network. And then for clients, I always end up having like 3 to 5 blog posts ready to be published once the syndication network has been attached to the site, because that activates the syndication network. It starts to add relevant content. It starts to create those associations between the topic, the content, and the actual brand itself. Okay, so it's really important to do that, to have syndication network, have 3 to 5 posts ready to go. I highly recommend that you use curated posts. Don't use content farm shitty articles. I always recommend that you use curated posts because it works really, really well. And then from there, a drive stack. There's no doubt, do a drive stack. That's one of the most powerful maps ranking methods available right now, is doing a drive stack. That's available in SerpSpace. Press releases are available in SerpSpace. I'm doing so much stuff with press releases right now. It's sick. And that's why we're starting to build out more and more distribution services inside of SerpSpace, because it's just working really well, especially for local. So I would do, order some press releases, and then obviously citations. So the traditional route, guys, it's always the same for me. It's the same process. And we covered this in the battle plan. So if you don't have the battle plan, you should probably pick that up, Ben, because that's going to give you the exact same method or strategy that we use. And that's syndication network to start, have some blog posts published, or excuse me, at least in queue, ready to go, so they could be saved as draft in the WordPress site, the blog. It doesn't have to be WordPress, but whatever your site is, it should be saved as draft, and it could be scheduled to be dripped out. Once the syndication network's attached, drip out your posts 3 to 5. It's typically what I do over the course of about a week or 2. Depending if it's a week, I'll do, if it's 3 posts, I can drip them out in a week. If it's 5, I do it over about 2 weeks. Okay. And then order a drive stack, order a batch of citations, publish a press release to announce the new site or the new campaign, whatever it is. And that's really probably all you're going to need. It just be a little bit patient. Expectations. I always tell clients, I typically can get results much, much faster, depending on how competitive it is. But I always tell clients that it's going to be about 90 days before they see significant results. If it's really competitive, I tell them it can be as much as 6 months. But that's why we try to get them some quick wins right off the bat with either some AdWords campaigns or some video SEO campaigns, as mentioned earlier. I like to use those as foot in the door strategy. For example, if I'm pitching a client on a full-on SEO campaign, like services, in other words, where I'm going to build out their website and syndication network and all that stuff, then a lot of the times I will do that video SEO method just to show them that I've done something for them. Like if I tell them that it's going to take me 3 months, and that's the expectation I set, right? A lot of times I can get results within 4 weeks, but I might tell them it's going to take 3 months, or if it's really competitive, it could take between 3 to 6 months. But what I'll do is one of those video SEO campaigns, and a lot of times won't even charge them for it, guys. I'll just go out, use a tool like LiveRank Sniper, identify all the easy, quick wins that I can get. Then I'll go out and blast out a bunch of videos across a money channel, one of my channels that have syndication networks, so that I can go back to the client when I send them the proposal and say, look, I got all these, which can generate leads for you while I'm working on ranking your site. Or I'll propose them, I'll set up an AdWords campaign for you while I'm working on ranking your site. Because that way they still start seeing results and start generating leads while you're working on getting them to rank in the Maps pack. I understand you said he's looking to rank in the Maps pack, but in the meantime, while you're actually doing that, you could get them to show up for various keywords in various locations using other methods. But again, go to the battle plan, Ben. If you don't have it, get it, because that's going to walk you through the exact same process that we use for all new sites.
Can I add one last thing? That was a fabulous answer. I would just say that population doesn't determine competition.
That's right.
It's the people operating in the niche that determine competition. You could have a population of 50,000, and you could have one of the big boys in that niche. It's whoever is targeting your niche that determines competition, not necessarily the population of the city you're in. Population is one indicator, but it's not the most important indicator.
Yep. Next, Kevin, we're almost out of time, guys. We're going to try to roll through the next couple. There's only a handful of questions left anyways. So, all right. Hey, everyone, looking to rank a local client for keywords that are thin on their official site. I don't want to risk their authority money site by pointing links to them from places that might get a Google slap. So what would you recommend as the best approach? Separate Google site generator, many sites around the desired keyword, an RYS stack, so many options, not sure where to begin for best impact. Thanks. I would say yes to both of those options. An RYS stack is great if you've got top level categories on the site. which would be your top level keywords, or, oftentimes if it's, if it's client work, it's going to be services that they provide or products that they provide, right? And so they'll have categories. Then if you're going to do a drive stack route, which is super effective for local, there's no question. I mean, it's super effective for everything, but I'm speaking from the local side of things because that's how I use it about 90% of the time. And so you can have like separate folders inside of Drive targeting those top level categories, and then put all your supporting Drive files in each one of those folders, and have those folders pointed to, linking over to, and the files within each of those folders linking to the top level category on the corresponding category on the website, right? So basically it's called theme mirroring, right? When you mirror the silo structure of your site, either in Google Drive, or you can do the same thing with the Google Sites Generator. That's another great strategy. Again, using the Google Sites Generator, you can start building out these Google Site link networks that boost up your money site, and you don't have to worry about it being a negative SEO type thing. Like, in other words, it's not going to get you slapped because they're Google sites, and then you can start hammering the Google sites. The best thing you could do, Kevin, would be to do both. Use Google Site Generators and RYS stacks. Okay. But there's a lot of, you could do press releases. There's a ton of other things you could do as well. But yeah, those are both really good options. And if you have the Google Sites Generator, you can start with that. And if you're not getting the desired results as quickly as you want, then go order a drive stack, man. Have us build it for you. And then you can always go in and add, additional folders and things like that if you need to really fine tune it to make it work well. And remember, you can go into those Google sites that you set up through the Google Site Generator tool and start embedding files and things like that, which makes it much stronger.
Can I add, please, since you mentioned that we will not be held responsible for somebody else's garbage? I had someone do that. I had someone come to me and try to tell me that RYS Reloaded doesn't work because they went and got a gig somewhere else and it didn't work. So come on, either you can go to and get it for $5, or pay what it's worth and get it done right. It's really that simple to me.
Yep. But I went to Fiverr and got one for $20 and it doesn't work. This shit doesn't work, guys. Right? All right, Armand says, how would you guys go about building out RYS stacks for an e-commerce site in a very competitive niche? It's a national company, so we do not have a GMB, and the owner is very strict about not having the address too public due to the nature of the industry. Would you go ahead and register the GMB and then hide the address? Well, you can do that, Armand, but the problem with that is if you build any citations at all, those citations, about 95% of them are going to show the address. There's only a handful of them that allow you to hide the address. So it makes no sense. If you should have the Google My Business profile. That absolutely, it validates the entity. Gives it much more authority in Google's eyes. So you should create the Google My Business profile and then hide the address. Yes. But if you're going to build any citations, just keep in mind the citations are going to display the address. About 95 or 98% of them do. All right. So just keep that in mind. As far as how to build an RYS stack for an e-commerce site, I honestly can't, other than what I mentioned just a minute ago about theme mirroring and having like specific folders that are targeting the product categories within the site. I really can't give you a much better answer than that, only because I don't do any e-commerce stuff. Does anybody else here have a suggestion for him?
No, I don't do much e-commerce stuff either. So,
okay. All right, we got 2 more questions we're going to get through, and then we're done, which is good. Actually, we are done. Nate says, what's up, Nate? It's been a long time, buddy. He says, hey, Bradley, what is the quickest way to find an expired domain with good backlinks? I don't bother with that anymore. If you want. Yeah, I was going to say SerpSpace. We do it for you, Nate, and the prices are great. So just go to SerpSpace.com, register your own account if you don't have one already, and then go look at the domain marketplace. Because that's the quickest and easiest way to do it, and it's inexpensive, and all those domains are vetted by our team.
Yep. So, yeah, the answer to that is it's actually kind of a pain. It's not such a straightforward, simple process, and every niche is different.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, scraping your own is a pain in the ass, and that's part of the reason. So again, I would recommend just going to SerpSpace. What is the quickest and easiest way to use expireddomains.net to accomplish the same? I haven't done that. I haven't used expireddomains.net in at least 2 years, probably closer to 3, because I stopped building PBNs. So, you know,
Is that just a drop list from?
yeah, essentially.
Okay.
It's free too. It is good. I used to, when I used to be building PBNs like a lot, I had, you know, like 480 sites, I think, at one time. And I got the vast majority of them through expireddomains.net. Like, that's where I found them.
Yeah, that's probably a good place to start. Just type in one of your broad market level keywords that you're going for. Type that in there and make sure that I think there's a filter in there for backlinks. Make sure that's set to 1 and go search through it that way. That'll get rid of most of the list, and you can start searching for them really quickly and easily.
The only thing I would recommend is, you know, I always looked at the closeouts and things like that because they were like ready to be purchased now and transferred like immediately. Whereas if you look at like the stuff that's still on auction, I don't auction. I stopped bidding on domains years ago because it's just it's stupid. You end up getting in a bidding war over domains, and it's just dumb and it's stressful. And then if you end up winning it, you still got to wait for a period of time before it can get transferred. And it's just too much work and too much hassle. So I just don't do it anymore. If I was going to build PBNs right now, or if I was looking for a domain with metrics, I would just go to SerpSpace.
Yep. I love PBNs. So
yeah, I know you do. Cindy's up. I bought one of the done for you RYS packages. Just wondered because it is my first time doing this. How long to expect some results? I know it can vary, but the general time range. And what do you mean by binding my IP? I logged into the Google account. Is there more to it than that? Okay, Cindy, it is going to vary. I've noticed, at least, and I'll let Marco answer this because he's the expert on this, but with all the Drive stuff that I do, or Drive Stack stuff that I do, it's odd to me there's no rhyme or reason as to what makes them the time frame it takes for them to show results. Because sometimes I get results almost like instantly within minutes or within a day. Other times it takes several weeks. And so I'm not sure what causes that. Maybe Marco can shed some light on that. But usually I just be patient with Drive stuff. And I give it a good 4 to 6 weeks before I start really getting concerned. That doesn't mean I don't do other SEO stuff to the Drive stack in the meantime, but I don't start freaking out and worrying about whether it's going to produce results until a good 4 to 6 weeks has passed. Marco, can you shed some light on that?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, it depends on the niche. The algorithm or Google or whatever it is acts differently depending on the niche. It's harder to rank in for example, emergency locksmith, right, than it would be for tree trimming, let's say. But that would also depend on the location and the people that you're going against. There's some niches that Google just guards really carefully, detox centers and that type of thing, gambling,
payday loans.
What's that?
Payday loans.
Yeah, all of that gets and it's hard to break in, but once you do, you're fine. I mean, the rankings stick. What we mean by bind your IP is if you ordered an IFTTT network, you have to go in and log into each one of your accounts so that they're yours rather than the IPs that built them. Generally, I wait 21 days. Rob is impatient. He doesn't wait. He just hammers it and hammers it. Link building, press release. You know how he does it. He just overwhelms it. I mean, depending on how much experience you have, you can either go the shock and awe kind of way, or you could just be patient, wait the 21 days to see. Of course, you should have all this in a rank tracker and see where it is that it ends up ranking after 21 days so that you know what action it is that you need to take after those 21 days so that you're clear of the Google dance. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you hit it within that period, all you'll do is you'll extend the Google dance, and so your rankings won't be stable for around 70 days.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to do that to yourself. You want to get a report that's reliable so that you say, okay, this is what I need to do to push up my main keyword and all of these trailing keywords that are coming up nicely behind it. I mean, time period, you have to wait 21 days. How long it takes after that, it depends on what it is that you do to it and how far you're willing to go, how far you're willing to push. that's the best answer that I can give her.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned, like 4 to 6 weeks. It's typically what I wait. Again, sometimes, guys, it's a matter of days, and I've got shit ranked because of a drive stack. But again, if it's not doing, if I'm not seeing results, I don't freak out, because I just give it a good 4 to 6 weeks before I start. Then at that point, after 6 weeks, if it's not produced any results, then that's when I start to get worried about it. And when I say get worried, I just means I got to do more work. That's all that means. I don't actually really worry about it. I don't lose sleep about it. I just know, shit, I got to do more work now. That's it. So, but I give it a little bit of time just to be patient. Like Marco said, Rob he's a freaking madman. He goes ape shit on him immediately. So
sorry, Bradley, but wasn't the SEO Virginia stack kind of stubborn to rank, and then it ranked, and then it's been like 1,000 years since it's been there?
Yeah, 2.5 years is still there. Yeah, that one, it wouldn't even stay indexed for, it was a good 6 weeks where it was bouncing in and out of the index altogether. And so I forgot about it, gave up on it. Honestly, at the time, that was back in May of 2015 when it was like May 7th or something like that was published, that G site was published and everything. And so I kind of just forgot about it, because it was dropping out of the index. And when it was appearing in an index, it was like page 3 and that kind of stuff. So I just forgot about it for a while. And then I just happened to be thinking about something, and I went and checked on it. It was ranked #1 in Google. And I was like, holy shit. And it's been there ever since. And so that's what actually I'm glad that happened on my first experience with Drive Stacks, because that set the expectation for me to just be patient and just allow it to do its thing. Okay. As far as binding your IP, yes, what Marco said is true. Typically, I only worry about that for the Google account, Cindy. It just means once you get your syndication network back, or even a Drive Stack back for whatever, anything that has a Google account, once you get it back from SerpSpace, just log in immediately from your IP. So that, or if you're, I'm assuming you don't have Browsio and all that stuff. If you're going to be using Persona accounts, you'd want to log in through your proxy IP, but just to keep it simple, log in through your own IP. And that's all you have to do. And that's just to basically marry or bind that account to your IP so that it's no longer a foreign IP, which could lock you out at a later date when you try to access the account. That's the only reason why you do that, is just to prevent being locked out at a later date and having to re-verify the account. Okay. All right, we got to go, guys. Sorry. Mohammed, updated battle plan. If you're not sure, just reach out, support@semanticmastery.com. Somebody will get you an answer. Okay. Okay, guys, I got to go. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We don't have Mastermind tomorrow, but we do have the battle plan webinar, as Hernan said. Is that the update webinar, or is that just for people?
The overview webinar.
Evergreen. Gotcha. Okay. So if you haven't picked up the battle plan yet, Mohammed, and that's not you, who was it that I was telling to get the battle plan? Ben.
Ben, yeah.
Ben, if you haven't picked it up yet, go register for the webinar tomorrow. Check it out. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks, Roman.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, guys.
See you.